Good morning, everybody. I'm here with the amazing psychic Liz Cross. She is recovering from a nasty, nasty flu she had over the holidays. So we're going to try and keep, only when, we're super necessary for her to speak, obviously to answer the questions, but maybe, and usually we give a little nice little preamble here, but she doesn't have to do that this morning. So do you want to just hop into it, Liz?
Sure. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes. Happy Flumas.
Yeah,
Yes.
Flumus. Yeah. Happy Flumus, everybody. All right. So we're gonna do like a kind of rapid fire on a bunch of different health stuff on this video. There'll be a part one, part two. If you want to see the second part of this video and all the other videos that we do on all kinds of different subjects, whether it's health, spirituality, politics, crypto, obviously financial stuff, all that stuff, you need to become a member with us on our Patreon. And then you can join our Discord where you can hop in our forum. And, I give all kinds of extra information, especially for crypto and stuff like that. Obviously, I have my own room, but we all, contribute to all the different categories and everybody's on there, Mr. Shakespeare, Mr. Reality. And we all have a great time on there. So it's very, 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 very beneficial. Not only that, but you get to come to the CTT every Monday morning, and that's the most important thing that we offer, really, because you can be getting all this great information from our probes, but you could be blocked energetically and you kind of hitting the wall or self-sabotaging yourself. So it's great to have the information of what you need to do. But if you're blocked energetically, I mean, there's only so far you can take that great information we're giving. So we really encourage everybody to become a member and join us for our CTT group every Monday morning at 9 a.m. So how do they become Patreon members, Liz?
Go to patreon.com/remote viewing and beyond. Don't forget, Mr. Photon does do health consults and has a tip jar listed down below.
Mm. Thank you for everybody that's given me tips. It's much appreciated, especially over the holidays. Thank you very much. All right, let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is your body kind of making its own substances that we would think normally would only be able, we'd just be able to eat food, right? Maybe even drink water and get some of these minerals and vitamins and stuff. But I've seen different things and along my travels of us being able to possibly turn light into vitamins, and now this is showing that we may be able to breathe it in as well. So let's grab our resident health expert, Mei Wen Ho here. She's a powerhouse, at least when she was on the Earth plane. So she's passed on, but she's here to help us as usual. All right. So let's ask Mei Wen Ho first of all. The title of this article. Can your body absorb vitamins and minerals directly from breathing in the air?
Ooh, can your body absorb vitamins and minerals directly from breathing in the air? She says no.
Okay.
Or if you do, it's so minimal, it's not effective.
Okay. So there's the idea of a breatharian. I don't know if you've ever heard that before. But there's the yogis and also maybe normal people as well that have claimed that they can stop eating food, basically just drink water, and they're able to sustain themselves somehow by practicing being a breatharian. I have I think there's ways that you can draw in energy from the environment for sure. I think animals do it all the time. I mean, they're not sitting down eating 3 meals a day, obviously. So, but I don't know. The question is, what does Mei Wen Ho think of being a breatharian? Is that, are they, are there monks that can just breathe and survive?
They can just breathe. Yes,
Mm.
yes.
And
They live on the minerals. Okay, so where are they getting their uh sustenance from? Like, now they get all their nutrients from the sun.
no, that was my next line of questioning. Cool. So that's interesting. So I have, one of my mentors talked to he posted a few studies that showed that possibly in physics, there's a way that you turn light energy into some of the, substrate that the body uses, like vitamins and minerals. But it's still unproven. Like nobody's proved that we can do it inside humans, but at least there's like evidence to show that it's possible breaking down light frequencies. How do I want to ask that? What can we, is it possible that we can make vitamins from sunlight inside our body? Is that possible?
Is it possible to make vitamins in our body from? Yes, it is.
Interesting. And so there's nothing else involved. You just basically are hydrated and step into the sun. Is that all that's required?
Is it all that's required is hydration and no, you have listen, this is like a state of being, she says. You have to
Okay.
be in this frame of mind, this state of being. It's not, I'm just going to wake up and starve myself today and live off sunlight. It takes a long time to graduate the consciousness up to that level, she says.
Okay. And so, okay, so what is the level of consciousness? Is that a state of mind like being in gratitude, or is it something more sophisticated than that?
It's more sophisticated. It's just a mental status that bypasses the body's need for food. It switches off the signals as well.
It's like hunger signals, you mean?
Right. Or signals, not just hunger signals though, when the body is depleted of something, the body will send you signals that, it's depleted. So maybe if you're lacking in potassium, you get leg cramps, things like that. That's all switched off. And it's basically something within us that she says is, okay, I need potassium. I'm going to convert the sunlight, the air, the water that I'm taking in into that. But you can only do that if you have achieved this certain level of consciousness.
Okay. All right. So, so is it a physical process that's taking place there, or is this some sort of like metaphysical, like, I don't know, alchemy or something?
Oh, is it a physical? It's both. It's a combination of both.
Interesting. Okay.
They're also, these people are not expending a lot of energy, right? So they're not going
Right.
about their day like most of us do, go to work and have kids and, cook and clean and all that stuff.
They're
No,
praying all day.
they don't live like that.
Are they just like meditating and praying all day? That's the extent of their physical.
They're just meditating and praying all day. Most of the time, yes.
Okay. All right.
And they're in nature.
Right. And so they're also probably taking in energy just from nature itself, like, being connected to the earth and breathing in fresh air and taking in the actual light itself. So it's probably a combination of things there. Maybe the water they're drinking is really good. They're not drinking tap water, I'm sure. Right.
Are
So
they drinking tap water? Most of the time, it's like natural spring water. Something else she just said, though, they tend to don't feel extreme cold or extreme heat either.
interesting. Yeah, well, there's those pictures of monks that are just, meditating in the snow and can like also melt snow on their body. I've seen those pictures before, which is cool. And I've done stuff like that too. Just being able to, I do cold therapy. I did it, pretty extremely when I lived in Canada before. So I know kind of what's possible there. Not being I wasn't a monk, right? But I learned to control my physiology through like breathing and meditation and conditioning my body to feel the cold. And I know that I'm coming from a northern latitude, like my background, so I knew that was possible. So it's kind of cool. You don't necessarily need to be a monk to do some of that stuff, but they're doing extreme stuff like not eating anything. So it's pretty crazy. Okay,
So
that's
I have to ask, just
sure.
because it is so cold up there. what were you doing? Were you going like outside, exposing your body to the extreme cold without the proper clothing? Like what were you doing?
Yeah, so the original goal was to be able to, just jump in the lake, the frozen lake. So I
Oh.
conditioned my body slowly to be able to do that, from cold showers to dunking my face in ice water to putting ice blocks on my back and sitting with that. Just like there's different ways to condition your body to get ready for that. And then I would graduate it to like cold water, like a bath, and then I would do that for a long period of time, and then I would raise the temperature up at some point, and the goal was to get my skin temperature down to about 55 degrees was the goal each time. So sometimes if it was warmer water, I'd have to sit for longer. If it was colder water, I'd have to be in there for less time. And then eventually I worked myself up to where I'm jumping in a frozen lake and I can be in there for quite a long time. I was jumping into like freezing cold rivers where the water's always moving, sitting under waterfalls. I was out in every condition, whether it was freezing rain, snow, blizzard, like, and some of like the most like crazy meditative practices or experiences I had was being in a frozen lake where it's just snowing and there's nothing going on. It's just like that crisp sound of the snow falling and just like silence, no wind, nothing. So it was pretty cool. Yeah, so those were and then I would go like hiking in the snow, no shoes, like shorts in the sun, stuff like that. Yeah.
I would never survive. No. But now you've gone from one extreme to the other.
Yeah, and one extreme to the other. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, there's people here that are doing cold therapy here, so I partake every once in a while, which is nice. It's so easy to do here. You hop out in the sun, it's sun, it's warm. It's like, oh, this is great. But yeah, so anyway,
Well, that was something that came up over the last few days, especially with this flu, which is, and I was like, what is, and I remember asking Spirit, I said, what is the best way? Because, when you have a lot of people in your house and you got kids and you're exposed to a lot of people at work or whatever, maybe you work in the hospitals or at the classroom, you're constantly exposed to these viruses and you're eating right and you're doing everything you can, you're washing your hands, but you still get exposed. And my question to Spirit was, it's inevitable at some point in our lives that we will be exposed to these viruses, to these illnesses. What is the most important factor that we need to know and to prepare ourselves? Like how do we prepare ourselves for these sudden onset viruses, because one
sure.
minute you're fine, the next minute you're on the floor with the flu.
Uh-huh.
And I got the answer back was flexibility. But
And
it wasn't just about physical flexibility, as in, oh, I do yoga or stuff like that.
mm,
It was all about complete flexibility. So
mm,
you have good mental health if your thinking, your thought process, and your brain is flexible. If you're exposed to a traumatic event, if your brain is malleable, if it's flexible and it can sort of take the hits as they come and roll with it and adjust very quickly to that trauma, well, you're going to have better mental health than someone who can't. What happens when they're inflexible? Well, they get stuck in trauma, their brains get damaged, they freeze, you have PTSD, you can't move on. And I said, okay, I understand that concept, but what about like flexibility around the body? And it was the same thing. It was like flexibility within the heart to recover quickly when exposed to something adverse, right? So maybe there's a situation where you need to run very quickly, just maybe for a few seconds or whatever. If your heart isn't used to that flexibility of going from zero to running and then stopping again, or that's where the damage is done. or if your lungs are not flexible, right? And you get hit with the flu
Yep.
and you're not able to, be flexible with your breathing. I got
So
very strongly like it's all about flexibility.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense when you send me that message. I was thinking the other thing you were saying, but this is segues, I mean, perfectly for what we're talking about with cold therapy, because we never have flexibility of temperature in this case. So we're always, if you're in a cold environment, you have your heat on 24 hours a day. You step out of your car and jump in your car with the heat blasting. Then you go to the office, you have the heat blasting there. You never actually get acclimatized to the weather, and you never have the flexibility. And same in hot environments, constantly in air conditioning, right? The other thing is through. So we never are exposed to those fluctuations. The body is never challenged in any way. And in order to become flexible, you have to challenge your body in all those different ways slightly. Like if you challenge your body too much, you die, right? But if
Right.
you challenge your body just a little bit, that's how it was designed to operate, because we were supposed to live in the natural environments where we would have the whole range and spectrum of all of the inputs that would come in all ways, right? So we would be flexible to be able to handle a little bit of everything. And so now in our modern environment, we're not exposed to all of the different ranges of things. And so when we come across adversity like a flu or a virus, we're just not resilient enough to it. So like we were talking about cold therapy, it's great for raising the immune system. Like it's one of the things that's known to be able to do. And also it gives you flexibility mentally as well, because you can, if you can jump into cold water, you can get through any situation, right? It's overcoming that. It gives you mental strength to be able to do that just in itself. And that carries over to your everyday life. So physically and mentally, the cold is helping you do that for sure. Um, and yeah, I mean, the other thing, yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much what I teach. Like in my philosophy is environmental health is what are the things we're missing to give us that quote unquote flexibility in our lives, whether that's physical, whether it's through like moving your body in every way it's supposed to move, or whether it's energetically, for instance, with cold therapy or getting into sunshine, those energies, being exposed to the Earth's magnetic field, or even mental flexibility. So doing things like mindfulness meditation, right? Being still with your thoughts, all the whole range of things to create that quote unquote flexibility that you're talking about. So it makes perfect sense to me, at least in
Mm.
my perspective.
And the other thing that I got was people that can think on their feet very quickly, who deal with lots of situations, lots of varied situations day in and day out. I'm talking about your really tough people, like your uh ER doctors, ER nurses.
Mm.
1 minute everything's calm in the ER, right? And the next minute, all hell breaks loose. There could be a massive traffic accident. You got all these people being rushed in. You've got to react quickly. You've got to be able to think on your feet. And that is one thing that I got from when I was asking Spirit. It's amazing what you do when you're sick and you're just like, I can't do anything really, but just lay here. Um, but it's sort of that ability to think on your feet as well. So when you're exposed to that type of environment, it makes you a little bit more emotionally resilient as well, because that's where the brain loses its, when it's traumatized and you're having to deal with PTSD. Now I understand that you could possibly get through the shift or get through whatever it is, um and maybe later on in life those things can come back to haunt you. Yes, that's always a possibility, but that ability to think on your feet very quickly, it just makes you a lot more emotionally and mentally resilient. The more
Mhm.
you do it, the more resilient you seem to come, which is why, when you come across people that work in those environments like EMTs and police officers and I want to say firefighters, no disrespect to you guys, but you're just not as busy as some of the other
Yeah,
emergency services out there. But it really, that's another way to promote that mental flexibility as well.
right. Okay. All right, let's make a part two to this video. I have a little bit more questions to ask on this, but we're also going to talk about Miss Barbara O'Neill and her amazing honey and baking soda cure.
Oh,
And I'd like to do something on the pushing down exercise, which is like an ancient Tibetan meditation practice, and a few other things. So please join us for the second part of this video. Just we're doing a bunch of health stuff today. So thank you for being with us here on the video. And thank you if you're going to support us. We really do appreciate it. Signing up for our Patreon and then becoming a Discord member. Liz is really not charging a lot. She wants to keep it fair for everybody who wants to participate in this information, but we do need to, be supported. Like I spend a lot of time here on making up, different probes and doing my research for all different types of things, especially crypto. So, it is nice to have a few shekels coming in our way. So please support us, whether that's through our tip jar, hiring me for consults, and of course being a member on our Patreon. And there's you get so much benefits. Like it's just a no-brainer to sign up. It's a few bucks a month. So
yeah, awesome. Well, you're right. If we weren't doing this, what would we have to do? We'd have to go work real jobs,
yeah,
right? So we wouldn't
absolutely.
be able to put out the information. All right, we'll stop this one here. Thank you.